Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private Facebook community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, then definitely come check us out. We'd definitely love to have you. That community was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, and service providers who are serious about getting up to that 7-figure level. So if that's you, definitely come check us out. Now, today I want to introduce you to one of the members of the community, Martha Lewis. Welcome, Martha.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Awesome. You're welcome. So Martha, tell the members of the community what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I help high achievers who want to sleep but can't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Awesome.
those busy, overworked, stressed people who have been struggling for years or even decades and just can't get a good night's sleep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what got you into doing this type of work?
Yeah, well, I actually started off as a pediatric sleep consultant because of my son who didn't sleep well when he was a baby. But even after he was sleeping, then I wasn't sleeping. And my sleep issues started in late pregnancy, but they didn't go away even after he was 6 months old and sleeping through the night.
Mm-hmm.
And so after a year and a half of struggling to sleep, like I would go to bed early because I was exhausted and not be able to fall asleep. And then I would wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning and not be able to go back to sleep until 6 when it was time to get up. So by this point, I was exhausted, I was miserable, and I had become a pediatric sleep consultant already, and I felt like a fraud because here I am telling people how to sleep and I'm not sleeping myself.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, the woman who I trained with for pediatric sleep also offered an adult sleep certification. So I took that. I was pretty skeptical going into it because I already knew a lot about sleep, but it turns out I didn't need to make multiple changes kind of to my habits and lifestyle, routines, and what I was eating and when, and putting all those together at the same time. Within a month, I was sleeping great again. So ever since then, I've been on a mission to help other people who aren't sleeping and are desperate for a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I've never had the issue of sleep, but I'm sure that when that's because I realize, just like for myself, right, if I don't get enough sleep, I realize how I can be and how unproductive and how everything gets me irritated, right? So I could just
Yeah,
imagine someone who's struggling with that over and over in their life, right?
yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, awesome. So in essence, how does what type of individuals do you work with? Do you work with a specific niche of individuals, or is it just anyone who just can't sleep?
Yeah, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur myself, I relate to those people, of course, and I know how it's so hard to stay motivated and positive when you have a business and you aren't sleeping. So that's a
Hmm.
lot of who I work with.
Yeah. And the type of sleep that you're referring to is not like saying, well, I have all of these projects I have to do, so let me just try to get as much done as possible and try to sleep as little as possible just to get what I need done. It's more based on that a different angle, right?
Right. I'm not going to convince you that you need to prioritize your sleep. But if you aren't sleeping and you want to sleep, then that's who I'm working with.
Yeah. Awesome. And that's so powerful. Now, what do you find most individuals who do have issues sleeping, what do they try to do that really you believe just isn't really serving them to try to fix that issue?
Yeah, well, stress is a huge part of it. But when we think of stress, we think of that psychological stress, right? Like that worry and being busy and all of that. But there's physical stressors too, that can keep you up at night because it causes cortisol to be released in the middle of the night when it's not supposed to. So my take is that for someone who's already following all the sleep rules, right? Like we kind of know the basics of those, like not watching screens before bed and having a bedtime routine and not eating a big meal too close to bed. Like if you're already doing all that stuff and you still aren't sleeping, and you're waking up at that 3 and 4 a.m. hour, to me, that means there's something going on in your body that is keeping you awake. And so it's causing cortisol to be released at the wrong time. And so that's can be different kinds of inflammation. So that could be from eating foods you're sensitive to, or from having a pathogen like a parasite in your gut, or it could be from your blood sugar levels going too low in the night. So all of those kind of physical things can cause you to wake up.
Hmm. Awesome. That's interesting. It's not when you said the parasite in your gut, I was like, whoa.
Everyone freaks out about that one, but supposedly 85% of Americans have a parasite. So it's a very common thing.
Hmm. Okay, good. Interesting. So in terms of I guess the vision that you have, right? What's the vision? What's your why for doing what you do?
Well, first of all, I believe that everyone is meant to sleep well. I mean, yes, there are super rare sleep disorders that a very small percentage of the population might have, but for the most part, we're meant to sleep well. And so if you aren't, it's a matter of figuring that out. And another reason I like working with entrepreneurs is because so many of us want to make a difference in the world. And so I don't want lack of sleep to keep people from making the difference they want to make in the world.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, in terms of growing your business, right? The question I'd like to ask is, based on the level of success you've created for yourself, what's one skill you'd say you've mastered that's gotten you to where you are today?
I don't know about mastered, but I have realized the importance of connections, making connections, getting to know people. And that's actually been my favorite part of becoming an entrepreneur and growing a business, is meeting all these people all around the world who I wouldn't have met otherwise. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's so powerful as well. So with especially, am I lagging or something? I am looking at myself. I look like I'm in one of the Chinese kung fu movies where it's like dubbed in English.
Right? I just saw it
Yeah.
for a second. I think you know.
Yeah, let me try share some of what I got going on. um, but in terms of oh goodness, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, going back into connecting, right? Because just like with Zoom right now, right? I like to say that each of my day, like every day I'm spending like time in different continents, right? Because as I do these calls, I'm speaking to people in Hong Kong and New Zealand and all these different places, and one day it's like, whoa, the world feels so small, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome.
Perfect. Now, when it comes to working with your clients, right? How do you work with them? Is it an in-person thing? Is it a virtual? How do you typically work with your clients?
I mainly do virtual, and I have two different programs. So one is more about the sleep foundation. So looking at diet and exercise and stress and mindset and your sleep environment and making sure all those bases are covered. And then my second program adds lab testing, 5 different lab tests to look at underlying health issues. So we're looking at gut health and hormone balance and thyroid, to get to the root cause of why people aren't sleeping. But it can
Mhm.
all be done remotely, which is awesome. I work with people all over the world. So the lab tests are sent to my clients' homes. They get to do them in the comfort of their own homes and then mail them back. And then we start meeting to go over those results.
Yeah. And how long is a typical engagement? How long does it typically look for you?
3 months.
hmm Okay,
Yeah.
so in 3 months, you could take someone who's been struggling with sleep and you could get them to a point where they were sleeping like a baby.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah,
ideal, right? Yeah.
yeah. Love it, love it. Now, when it comes to uh, how does someone know when it's time to get help, right? Is it like, is the sleep issue like just a persistent where you just never get that quality sleep? How does that typically look?
Yeah. I mean, most people I work with have been struggling for decades, really. I mean, some
Hmm.
a few years, some decades even, and it tends to come and go, depending on what's going on in their life. Or
Hmm.
maybe they can't even connect with why it's coming and going. But I would think if you know all the basics, you're doing all the basics, and say, I mean, some people have even been to sleep disorder clinics to get tested for sleep disorders, and they don't have a true sleep disorder yet. They're still waking up. And yeah, and they are just tired of being miserable all the time from not sleeping. um, then then that's when I can help and we can get to the root cause of why they aren't sleeping.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, with COVID-19? Has COVID-19 affected business at all, or has business started picking up based on
It's
everyone being online?
Yeah, it's actually been picking up. I mean, there's a lot of talk about people not sleeping as well during COVID-19. Again, that's, people who have only been struggling for a couple months probably aren't ready to hire me and do all these lab tests, right? But I think it's, you know, COVID has brought us so much awareness of things we want to change in our lives, and things that just might not seem worth it to keep doing anymore. And so I think it's been eye-opening for some people who are, and made them ready to make a change. And
Mhm.
it's a lot easier to make those changes too when, social obligations can definitely get in the way of, of following a lot of those sleep rules, for example. So it can be a good time actually to like lay low and work on yourself and improve something in your life. So it's been a good time.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, awesome. So there you go. And I love what you do because what you do is so clear. And individuals who are looking for you, just hearing that message, I know they'll definitely be able to connect because anyone who's having issues sleeping, we know, right? So let's jump back on the entrepreneurial side as well too. So in essence, with your business, your success, everything you've done today, are you a reader? How do you get your information? Are you a podcaster, reader? What do you typically do?
Both, I guess. I definitely read. I've always read a ton.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
What'd you say is one of your favorite books?
In general, or about business, or what?
About business.
About business.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, Hal Elrod, who wrote The Miracle Morning, has been a big inspiration to me. And he also wrote, oh no, I'm going to just forget what it's called, but another book about business and about how you just need two things to succeed, and that is to have unwavering faith that you will succeed and to put forth extraordinary effort, which he defines as really just maintaining effort every single day to move toward your goal. And then your success is inevitable. So, yeah, that's made a big impact on me.
Yeah, yeah, and that is so true as well too. Success is one of those things where everyone is just looking for the what's the one thing I could do, like what's the just one technique I'll just do that and it'll just fix all my problems, right? Versus I love what you just said as far as it's all about whether just showing up and the consistency and being able to push through and just keep, as you said, putting the energy in, moving forward to what you want, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. So, what are you seeing as the next step in your vision? I suppose the next step in your business. Where are you headed now?
Yeah, well, I've been being interviewed on podcasts and things like that. I'm hoping to expand my reach, I guess, and get on more nationally recognized platforms. So whether it's podcast or even TV, I'd love to expand and offer group programs as well to
Mhm.
kind of make my program more affordable to people too, and still get the results that they want. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking to do.
Yeah, yeah. I actually ended up with a guest a couple of days ago. He's in Australia, but he definitely talked about getting in the media as far as the actual on TV and stuff like that. So I think he's really good at what he does. Okay, cool, cool. Now, what's one habit? So for someone who's having issues sleeping, right? What's one thing they could do to start working towards getting that good night's sleep?
Yeah, well, something that has been a game changer for me and a lot of my clients is that when you aren't sleeping, you actually want to get up out of bed. So you want your brain to have this very strong association that bed equals sleep. And for people who struggle to sleep, their brain has lost that association because they've spent hours lying in bed worrying and not sleeping. And so, whether it is at bedtime or in the middle of the night, if you wake up and you think you've been awake for about 10 or 20 minutes, you aren't going back to sleep, then I suggest getting out of bed, actually leaving your bedroom, going into another room, keep the lights dim, and do something relaxing. So read, meditate, listen to something, whatever it is. And when you start to feel sleepy, then go back to bed. Again, if you don't fall asleep pretty quickly, get up again and go do something and then go back to bed. And it takes a few nights for your brain to get it, but eventually it's going to get it and say, okay, I'm only in bed when I'm sleeping, and otherwise I'm not there. So when I go to bed, I'm going to go to sleep. And so, yeah, that's made a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And it's so interesting. Because whenever it comes to issues, right, I find that, and that's when I was um after, because I've been doing this show about for maybe was it like about almost a month now, and I've talked to so many different individuals who have a unique way of helping individuals, and I'm starting to realize like doesn't matter what issue you have in your life, there is an expert for it, right? Someone could help you overcome that issue, and the best thing about it is that most experts. they have those types of step-by-step processes that they could take someone through. Because I know most individuals who try to solve problems, they go to YouTube, they get one piece here, one piece there, and the thing they never solve the problem. It's always like I fix it for a little bit, but then it always comes back up. And you're saying with your process, what you do with sleep, you basically have a step-by-step process that you could take someone through, and when they come in, they could have been struggling for like years, and you could take them through and get them to a point where it's like good night quality sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, powerful stuff, and I love that. I love that because I know for myself, I always need some type of like someone in my corner, right? So whatever problems I'm facing, I always try to have someone in my corner because I know that that's where the biggest leverage is. It's one thing to try to do on your own, but once you have that person helping you, so it's just the next level. So guys, so if you know anyone, if you're struggling with sleep, and you're not sure what to do, definitely reach out to Martha. And if you know someone who is, you got to reach out to her as well to make sure you make that introduction. So Martha, if someone wants to connect further, what's the best way for them to be able to reach out?
Yeah, well, I'm on Facebook under Complete Sleep Solution, and my website is thecompletesleepsolution.com. I have a couple free ebooks on there if you'd like to download them so you can learn more about how to sleep better. And yeah, I'd love to connect with you.
Yeah. So what's in those free ebooks you give away? What's in there?
Well, I have one that's called 5 Mistakes Busy Professionals Make When They Can't Sleep and What to Do Instead. So I kind of got into that with getting out of bed. So that's part of it. But there are a few more pointers that go hand in hand with that one. And then I have another one that's 5 little known reasons high achievers can't sleep and how to fix it. And that one talks more about underlying health issues that affect sleep, how they cause sleep problems and what you can do about it as well.
Mm-hmm. And if someone could go to your website and just get instant access, it's a downloadable
Yeah.
ebook PDF.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love it. Love it. And what inspired you to write those?
Well, it's just answers. I mean, the first one is answer to common questions that people always ask, like, what am I doing wrong? Why do I keep waking up in the night? And so that's that solutions there. And then the one with the underlying health issues, I think helps explain my take on how to deal with sleep issues. So there definitely aren't many other sleep consultants who are doing it this way, where we're really getting to the root cause of why you can't sleep so we can fix it. So that provides a good explanation of that.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Because I know when you try to solve problems, when most people try to solve problems, they try to go after the quick fixes, right? The Band-Aid fixes where you get shot with a gun and you're like, I need a Band-Aid so I can stop the bleeding, versus not doing the inner work, figuring out what's the root cause of where is this bleeding coming from and fixing that. And you definitely sound like you have it all kind of figured out for someone who wants to solve that problem. Awesome, love it, love it. Well, hey, we're short on time, but what's the name of your website again?
Thecompletesleepsolution.com.
There you go, there you go. And guys, if you're watching this on the live or the replay, I'll have the links to all the resources Martha shared with us here today. So you should be able to click and get connected right to her if you or anyone you know is having issues with sleep. Well, hey, Martha, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. Really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
Thank you, Extus, for having me. I think, the main message I want people to have is that there is hope and that if you aren't sleeping, you are actually meant to sleep well and we can figure it out.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Well, hey, enjoy and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Sounds
Awesome.
good.
Yep.